Yo, tube, what's good? It's Egg. In this video, I'm going to be going over the new Fire Mage hybrid build that I've been playing a lot recently. You guys have probably seen my most recent content, all Fire Mage hybrid with Flame Strike and Pyroblast. It's like a hybrid build between the two, and I wanted to break down a little bit about what is going on. So first of all, I want to preface this by saying that I don't think this is better, that this version of Fire is better than the other two specs. I've seen a lot of people are saying it looks so clunky and whatever, like it's definitely not better than Frost and Arcane, and I agree 100%. In 3v3 arena, high rated 3v3 arena, competitive environment, this is not going to be better than the other two specs. However, this is better than Fire Mage was before this most recent set of buffs. And I think in Shuffle, this really owns. I think in Shuffle, this build is very good, even in high ratings. I've been pushing, well, currently I'm #1 as Fire, and I've been pushing up my alt, and I'm actually getting close to my main's rating now playing this build. And a lot of the lobbies are going my way pretty much all the time. The only thing that's hard with the build is deciding when you want to pyro versus flame strike, and that's something we're going to talk about a little bit later. First, I want to show you guys the build. So here's the build. You don't really ever change anything. The only thing you're ever changing is like shimmer versus ice flows, but we're going to stick to the fire side of the tree for now for the explanation. And then you'll see the PvP talents: flame cannon, glass cannon, and world in flames. Those never really change either. You could consider dropping flame cannon for something like ring of fire if you want. However, I think flame cannon really enables you to keep a lot of distance, and when you have distance on this build is when you're doing a lot of damage. Now let's talk about the gear a little bit. People have been asking me what kind of gear you want to run. So here's my current stat layout. I like to live a little dangerously. I like to run a little bit under verse cap and play a mainly haste mastery build. So I'm not going over 20% mastery. You could play a little bit higher mastery. It's always good to have more because you can see the top damage in a majority of the games that you'll be playing. Your damage will be ignite. So I would say if you're trying to play a little bit more mastery heavy, you could go to about 24%. I wouldn't go any higher than 24% because that will take away too many stats from other places. And then I like to run a little bit of haste heavy build because I really like haste on Mage. I think the faster GCTs allow you to play your character a lot more smooth. So yeah, you can see the layout I got going here. So we're definitely gonna be very squishy playing under verse cap, but we have a lot of haste. 34% is pretty decent on fire. And then we have a pretty decent amount of mastery as well with 20%. And keep in mind, you're gonna be stacking up more mastery every single time you fire blast from Field of Burn. So actually you're sitting more at around 26% mastery the whole game essentially, which is pretty decent. So I'll go ahead and show you the pieces I have here. I'm running the 4-set. The 4-set is too good to not run. We're running the belt here, the loss of control, and then you gain primary stat belt. Got the haste first legs from the 4-set, haste first boots with precog on it, haste first Signet of Titanic Insight. You can see we got a haste mastery ring. We're running just the normal trinket with the alacrity off trinket. We got the verse mastery weapon, haste mastery wrist, haste mastery chest, and then we're just gonna run the verse mastery cape, normal tier shoulders, verse heavy, verse mastery neck, and then the tier helm. And I'm gemming mainly versatility since I am playing under that verse cap, but I do have a couple. I could actually change these. I could actually swap the 70 verse with the 30 mastery. That would be better, I think. But now let's get a little bit into the gameplay. So I'm gonna try to keep this brief, but essentially you're gonna have two different like rotations, and it's gonna be the flame strike rotation versus the single target rotation. So the cool part about this build is that it's a hybrid build. So you have good single target damage and you have good AoE damage. A lot of the times in games, people will end up stacking like this. And basically the build is like, you're playing the normal version of Fire Mage, the one where you sit back 55 yards and you flame cannon and you pretty much just always do damage. But then if the way the game goes, you kind of force them onto a pillar, they're all stacking, then you also just have the option to do the AoE rotation. And this is going to be great because essentially the only flame strike build was too gimmicky. If they didn't stack, it felt very awkward. And then if you played just the normal build without the flame strike stuff, they'll all stack up on a pillar, and you're thinking to yourself, damn, if I was just Flame Strike here, like we would instantly just rot them all down and win. So yeah, this build is going to have the best of both. The only thing you're actually losing is you're losing Fevered, which is actually a nerfed talent. It just got nerfed in half with this last patch. Fiery Rush is also nerfed to 30%, so it's not that amazing either. And then Wildfire, you're not picking up Wildfire, which is about 8% critical strike damage, but that is also nerfed in PvP. So you're losing 3 nerfed talents to essentially pick up Hypothermia. And Hypothermia is an amazing button. Whenever you get that proc, you will be able to just spam Flame Strikes all the time. Now, how do you use Flame Strike? Let's go over that first. So let's say everyone is stacking up. First, I want to show you an interaction of how Living Bomb works. So Living Bomb, you apply it to a target, it will explode, and then you'll see the explosion spread the Living Bomb to the rest of the targets, and then it exploded. But then you'll notice it didn't spread again. So that portion at the bottom there, other enemies hit by this explosion also become a Living Bomb, but then it cannot further spread. So Living Bomb does a lot of damage on these dummies. It doesn't really show how much it actually does due to the PvP modifier not showing, but you can see on details from a previous game it ticks for on average 23k, maxing at 42, and then the explosion itself maxes at about 94,000. So it does up to almost 100k damage on the explosions. So again, just a brief illustration of how Living Bomb works. You apply it, after a couple seconds it explodes, did 126k that one, and then the rest of them explode. So that is going to be the main goal, is trying to get those Living Bombs. And how you proc Living Bombs, because you'll notice this one has a 30-second cooldown. When you use your instant casts and you put down a Flame Strike, you'll see it leaves a little patch of flame on the ground called Flame Patch. It leaves behind a patch that burns for 8 seconds. Enemies in that flame patch have a 5% chance to erupt into a Living Bomb. So you'll see, if we get a little bit lucky here, we'll see the procs. We'll see a Living Bomb proc. And you can stack multiple flame patches, and each one will have a 5%. So you'll see one there, boom, it explodes, it spreads to all of them. And since they're in the flame patch the whole time, they all have chances to proc. So there's another one. Let's see if we can maybe get a little bit lucky and get another one down. Nope, not getting any procs. But basically you get the idea. As long as you're procking, like there's one, then you also just have a chance to proc on everyone else as well. And when it explodes, it all spreads to each other, and you're doing a crazy amount of damage. So the rotation is going to look something like this. So you're going to first apply Living Bomb, you're going to combust Fireball, get your first hot streak with Fire Blast, and then you want to chain your instance to put down more Flame Strikes. So I'll show you here. We're just going to keep Flame Striking and keep using our instance to get more Flame Strikes. Now that we have our Tinder Fireball back, we'll go ahead and put that down. And we're just going to keep doing instant casts. So Flame Strike essentially acts as Pyroblast in this rotation. And you can see more Living Bombs are just proccing, and that is a crazy amount of damage in Arena. Like I said, details doesn't accurately show it because there's no PvP modifier, but due to this talent, Flame Strike has a chance equal to 100% of your spell critical chance to build up a hot streak, which is essentially saying it's the same thing as Pyroblast. The rotation doesn't change, it just changes based off of if they're stacking. So now, let's say they aren't grouped up like this, right? They're just kind of spread. Like this guy's Arena 1, this guy's Arena 2, and the healer is this big lizard. And you're just sitting here and you want to do your normal rotation now. It's just going to look the same as any other fire rotation, except you could start with a Living Bomb. I actually like to, with this first crit, I actually like to get a Flame Patch down on them, just so they have a small 5% chance to proc a Living Bomb on them. And then you just start doing the normal rotation, so like Fireball, Combust, Fireblast, Pyro, Pyro, Fireblast, Pyro. You can go ahead and get a Flame Patch down, like I said, so that they have a small percentage chance, and then you go just back into your instant cast rotation. So basically why the build is so fun, in my opinion, is it's very it's a fun decision to make on whether or not you need to be doing single target or AoE damage based off of where enemies are positioned. It feels so good having the option to do both. Yeah, you're just going to change up what spells you're using, like I said, based off of where everyone is standing. The idea is that you're going to generate a lot of pressure to the point where you're going to force them on a pillar, and then once they all stack like that, you can see I have a hyperthermia proc right now. Oh, I got a back-to-back hyperthermia proc, and I'm actually just spamming flame strikes. You see that? It's crazy. So obviously if they stack like this is prime. It's a prime rotation right there to be able to just have them all stacked, living bomb and then flame strike and then spam instant cast to get to your next hot streak to continue placing them down. But like I said, if they're not stacking, then you still have the option to just do the normal combust rotation with pyro, and then you rotate your instant cast fire blast or phoenix flames to get to your next hot streak. Then you just keep repeating. And I personally like putting down at least one flame patch on the guy that I'm single targeting, just so you have that small 5% chance to proc a living bomb. One thing I would like to add is that you should use this macro here, show tooltip flame strike, cast at cursor flame strike. This will just make it to where whenever you have that hot streak proc and you press flame strike wherever your mouse is, it'll just instantly place it, as opposed to if you have a hot streak and then you put down a flame strike, just a normal without the macro, you'll get this green kind of circle area of effect thing, and you don't want to have to use that extra mouse click as an input. You'd rather be able to just press your flame strike bind wherever your mouse is and have it go off. This will allow you to use your procs very quickly, like to where you can actually chain them just like you're chaining normal pyros, as you can see here. No green circle, just placing down the flame strike. Anyways, that's all really with the build. And yeah, go out there, try to flame strike some people down, and let me know how it goes. Peace out.